So are you a people pleaser? Now, there might be a few secret signs that you are self-betraying yourself. So this is the first in a series about the 7 different self-betrayal types that I have identified. And we're going to start with the most common, the most misunderstood, the people pleaser. Now, you might be a high-functioning, high-achieving, very kind and compassionate woman who doesn't think she's a people pleaser. I didn't. I had learned to say no, I set boundaries, and I always think, well, I help because I can and I don't have to. So that was very, very much me. But people pleasing isn't just about saying yes, it's about those very subtle, high functioning self betrayal, the ways that happen after you say yes. And we mistake high competence for deep obligation. Now, I know this territory. I've been a corporate marketing manager. Later on, I taught assertiveness skills. I've had to master saying no. But the deeper lesson was realizing my helpfulness was often disguised as my need to feel useful and valued. And when I wasn't, not only did I feel resentment, but I really felt like people were taking me for granted. So the first sign that you potentially will notice is the resentment after the yes. So you've said yes to the commitment. Nobody's forced you to do it. No one made you say yes. But the moment the task starts or the conversation ends, you feel like this low, buzzing resentment towards the person you agreed to help. So your self-betrayal is you honoured their request but betrayed your inner peace. Now, the other sign that might show up for you is this unsolicited help loop. And this is for the motherers. I'm a bit of a motherer, or I'm trying to be a reformed motherer. So you see a problem and you see the perfect solution and you jump in before anyone asks for your help. Now, this isn't helpfulness, it's a subconscious need to control the outcomes to ensure you remain the hero or the heroine. And I do know that this is in me. And I do have to learn to step aside. And it's very interesting. My mum is 87, and there's lots of things that she can't do. But I notice when I switch into mother mode and I say to my mum, oh my God, here it comes. I'm behaving, or whatever I've just done. I'm behaving like your mother. And I always say, I'm so sorry. But there is a lot of stuff that she can't do, and I do need to do it for her. So, there's kind of I'm going to call it a wavy line. But here's what's interesting: is when you jump in without somebody asking you to do it, you're robbing that person of their competence, and you're sacrificing your energy. Now, it's really interesting that my mum will sometimes say to me when someone has done something, that's not me, because obviously I am the perfect daughter. She says things like, I might be old, but I'm not stupid. And I'm just going to ask you to remember that when you next do something, think about that person. And my mum is super, super intelligent. So I'm laughing because I do recognize that I am a bit of a motherer. So the next sign is the addiction to the compliment. You find yourself taking on tasks specifically because you anticipate that someone is going to say, oh my goodness me, you are a goddess. Look at what you have done. You are just perfection personified. So you do the small or large, unasked extra step, the perfect dessert, the perfectly organized notes, the beautifully presented report with the gorgeous cover, just here. Oh, I don't know what we'd do without you. You're outsourcing your self-worth to external validation. Again, I'm laughing because I know I've done it myself. It's like, oh, do you really think so? Okay, like we know we do it. We're fishing for compliments. And then there is the loneliness of the lifeline. You're everyone's go-to problem solver, but you struggle to ask for help yourself. And again, I'm not even going to smile at this because I have been awful at asking for help. I would say in the last 5 years, I've learned to ask for help. And you feel that deep down that your primary function in a relationship is to give rather than receive. I do know how blooming hard it is to accept that someone else can do something for you. And when you use your helpfulness as a wall and you push away the intimacy of true reciprocal connection, actually you hurt the other person. I still find myself in these weird situations. So I've got a fractured spine. I live in an old Spanish cortico. It's on 3 levels, and I have to carry gas bottles to different floors to provide heating in the winter. And one of my neighbours said, next time you need to move a bottle, I'll come and do it. And I found myself saying, oh, I'm okay. I can balance it on my foot. And then I looked at him and his wife and I went, do you know what? I said, I'd absolutely love you to come and do it. And he came over, he picked up the gas bottle, took it upstairs, took all the top off, and between us, we made sure it worked. And I just thought, thank goodness I asked for help. A couple of days later, they turned up at my house. They had an emergency, awful emergency back in the UK. They couldn't think straight, but they knew that I could help them. And they came and asked. But they did then say, can we pay you? And it's like, no, you blooming well can't, because you were doing things for me that I physically can't do. So that is a reciprocal connection. I'm happy to help, and I'm now happy to ask for help. If I need something, I can go and do it. And I believe that we don't give to receive. And it doesn't matter if I give to one person and someone else then gives it back to me, because it's, that's not how it works. But we have to learn to ask for help and not be everybody's problem solver. It's really, really not good for us. So if you've checked off one of those signs, I've already demonstrated, you are not alone. But the question is why do we do it? Now, often, when we're looking at root causes, it's incredibly complex. I didn't have the same childhood as you. I didn't go to the same schools. I didn't have anything that is the same as you, maybe similar, but not the same. But the root of this is never, we just want to be nice people. It's always about that horrible thing called fear of rejection, fear of conflict. And I think for midlife women, which I obviously class myself of, is that fear of invisibility. After decades of service, we worry if we stop doing things, we will stop mattering. And I think that is just incredibly, incredibly sad. So what I would invite you to think about is to learn how you can separate your inherent worth from your action. And you do have lots and lots of value as a person. It's not about what you can do. Absolutely not. You've got tons of wisdom. What about all that experience that you have gained? Your companionship, all of that is safe, it's secure, it's all in here. And you don't have to earn it with a single yes to anybody else. So I don't know if you like homework, but here's a bit of homework. And it's called the 1 minute delay. So when any request comes in, no matter how small, insert a breath, take a moment, a minute silence. Now, obviously, that's pretty difficult. You can do, but you could say to somebody, I just need to take a minute to think about it. Let me come back to you. Now, I am what's known in the human design system, which you may or may not be familiar with, is I am an emotional projector. Now, when I have jumped in the past, and I felt bitterness and resentment and anger afterwards. And what I've learned now is to wait on the emotional wave. And I tell you what, it's not easy. But when someone's asks me something or whatever, I always say, I just need to process that. Give me, a little bit of time. Let me think about it, and I will come back to you. And then I feel it in my body, like, can I do it? I might look at my diary. Do I actually want to do it? And if it's no, then I can come back and say, thanks, but no thanks. But I need that time to process things. So they're all fairly subtle signs of self-betrayal that you may or may not notice. And, I would invite you to spend a week noticing when you say yes, and then noticing how your body reacts with I'd much rather say no, and practice that, whether it's 1 minute or whether it's overnight or whether you say to people, I just need some time to process. So have a little think about it. Please do take the self-betrayal quiz. You'll find it really, really insightful. One of my friends took it the other day and she went, oh my God, that is really, really bizarrely accurate. And it starts to make you think about your needs, what you want, what are your heart's desires. So please do take it, and then we will look at some other stuff around people pleasing and the other self-betrayal archetypes as we move through this series. So I'm Dale, and I really, really hope that you have enjoyed exploring these self-pleasing moments with me.